What's up, guys? Tonight, we're looking at your life as a Gupta-era elephant pedicurist. The dangerous duty of royal toe trimming, and it's not cute. It is strange and wild that you wouldn't last 10 minutes without crying or being fined in barley. You walk through the early morning mist without any shoes on your feet. The toes on your feet curl not from the cold, but from the squelch of fresh royal elephant dung beneath you. It is still steaming like a royal burrito that was cursed and left in the back of the chariot. Somewhere, a peacock screams like it has student loans. You have roughly zero dignity right now, an antelope bone chisel, and a coconut shell buffer. Behind you, a 6-ton living tank with toenails thicker than your future. Ahead, a king who will have you beaten if his war elephant limps on parade day. And yes, that limp, probably your fault, or your intern's, or the goat that sneezed on the sandpaper. Before you settle in, take a second to like this video and subscribe if you want, but only if you like what I do here. Let us know what city you're in and what local time it is. Bonus points if you're watching this while pretending to work. We've all been there. Maybe you're in a meeting right now. Maybe your boss thinks you're analyzing Q3 projections. In your mind, you're comparing corporate HR to an ancient Indian elephant HR. Spoiler, elephants had better dental. Worse breath, though. Like fermented mango meets battlefield regret. Grab some snacks, mute your mom, and let's get weird together. Your ankle is deep in sludge that smells like wet hay, turmeric, and existential dread. That's not mud. That's status. Only patapericarakas, which translates, approximately, to toe slave with chisels, are permitted within 20 feet of the royal stables before sunrise. A patapericaraka is a certified pedicurist. Why? Because influencers and elephants enjoy pooping in private. The Gupta Empire, circa 320 to 550 CE, used war elephants like luxury tanks that were armored, bejeweled, and maintained like a Formula One racing car. They say there is another lost manual called Gajashastram Toe Addendum, which contains diagrams for nail curvature appropriate for monsoon terrain and recommended chanting frequencies to soothe ingrown rage. Historians argue whether the manual was in fact real or just written by a very bored monk who hated his job. He did. He later became a professional napper. Legend. Your first client? Rajendra the Thunderfoot 12-foot man, has tusks longer than your lifespan and a temperament like a hangry Uber driver stuck in Delhi traffic. His left front foot has a crack the size of a beetle nut. Your job? Put beeswax, resin, and crushed pearl into it because bling prevents infection. You kneel. You pray. You say things like, "Good boy," and "Please don't sit down." He snorts. You flinch. A glob of snot lands on your shoulder. You don't wipe it off. Wiping equals disrespect. Disrespect equals unemployment. Being unemployed is like being a human speed breaker in a procession. PG-13. Remember? But awkward. Oh yeah, your sandals, handcrafted from recycled yak hide, are stuck to the ground due to yesterday's goat pee cleanup job. Yes, you also clean up after the ceremonial goats. No, there's no union. The head mahout who threw you a rusty scraper is like a project manager, but with more scars and less PowerPoint. Begin with the side groove, he barks. You nod like you know what that means. You don't. You Google it in your head. Can't. No Wi-Fi. Vibes and vultures overhead like they're shooting your death live. You squeeze under Rajendra's belly and find a hairy cave that smells like old socks and bad decisions. The toenail looms above you like a beige tombstone. You tap it. It rings. Not metaphorically. Literally. Solid keratin, baby. This sucker could deflect arrows. Or lawsuits. If lawsuits existed, yes, they did. In a way, if you err, you're sued in barley credits. Lose 3 lawsuits? Congratulations, you are now Barley Boy. Wear the hat. It itches. A fly lands on your eyelid. You blink. The chisel slips. You can hear a SKRRT sound. A little chip of nail comes off like a little piece of wood. Rajendra twitches. You freeze. So does time. So does your bladder. So is the dude behind you wagering on how long you last. The current odds are 7 minutes. You exhale. He doesn't crush you. Today. You say thanks to the lucky god in charge of NDE pedicures. Probably Ganesha. He's got the head for it. In the Gupta culture, elephants were semi-divine. People who harmed one inadvertently could be exiled or taxed with living scorpions. Did you know that there is graffiti inside the Udayagiri caves? The graffiti states Chandra, #1 pedicurist, nailed it literally, with a cartoon elephant giving thumbs up. Historians are still debating whether it's satire or resume padding. Chandra both promoted and stepped on. You finish the front left, move to the back right. It's moist, suspiciously so. You poke it. It squelches. You gag. Quietly. Loud gagging equals insubordination. The punishment for disobeying will push you down to the goat ear job. It involves tweezers and screaming. You apply saffron-soaked gauze to the area because who needs a functioning medical system when you can use saffron? The head mahout nods approvingly. Good texture, he murmurs. You want to ask texture of what? But you don't. Survival instinct, curiosity. Always. The sun climbs. Sweat drips into your eyes. Or maybe that's tears. Hard to tell. Rajendra shifts his weight. You dive roll like a discount ninja. Land in a puddle of something green. Smells minty. Hope it's mint. Could be bile. Either way, you're marinating. You glance at your fellow pedicurists. One's humming. Another's praying. The new guy? He's hyperventilating into a lotus leaf. The poor guy won't last until lunch. You feel bad. Then it comes back to you. You will get his sandpaper ration. Priorities. You crouch beneath the belly of an animal that could sneeze you into next week, examining a toenail as if it were the Zapruder film of podiatry. This isn't nail care. This is a geopolitical nail analysis. Before breakfast, you've got 3 cracks to classify. Type A, the surface whisper crack. This one's almost invisible and just cosmetic, almost like the dry elephant skin. Type B is a monsoon groan, meaning that it is deeper, moisture-trapping, and prone to fungal drama and limping out due to a passive-aggressive approach. Type C, the warrior split, the crack of which you hear during battle charges, and you get publicly shamed before the royal peacocks. Your job? Diagnose, document, and don't die. Gupta-era war elephants were armored and equipped with giant blades made from their tusks. This made them ideal for warfare. Did you know? An old scroll from Varanasi asserts that pedicurists had to learn 17 types of cracks, like the lover's lament, curved and romantic-looking, generally on matriarchs, and the tax collector's frown, jagged and angry-looking, always on males owned by officials. Historians don't see eye to eye on whether these were official names or drunk mahouts poems. The day of the drinks was Tuesday. You take out your toe ledger, which is bound in the tendon of a yak and made of palm leaf. Today's note reads as follows. Rajendra, left front type B with touches of C. Application of beeswax resin blend plus crushed pearl #3, novice, due to budget constraint. Recommended 48-hour sand rest. I will let the owner know. Yes, dance. Because obviously a written memo gets eaten by monkeys, but a proper pelvic shimmy near the throne. That's executive communication. Using charcoal from sacred fig trees, you sketch the crack profile. Your lines are shaky, not from fear. Rajendra scratches his back on a stone pillar, and you are still underneath him, so who is really bigger? Each grind sends a shiver through your spine like a Doom remix. You finish the sketch. Add a footnote. Subject may be holding a grudge regarding the monsoon festival incident. Recommend extra mango bribes. Your apprentice, Little Dev, 12 years old, smells approximately of curry and panic. Gives you the sacred sandpaper. It's not sandpaper. It's shark skin glued to teak. Why shark? India bought it from Sri Lanka for better abrasion science. Plus, it screams when you use it, cited for copper. Literally. Old saltwater spirit trapped in dermis, probably. You drag it across Rajendra's lateral sulcus. The strange noise was reminiscent of nails on a chalkboard. If the chalkboard was sentient and judging you. Rajendra flinches, lifts his foot. You freeze. Again, the universe holds its breath. Maybe the one who's forgetting to breathe is you because Dev just said, I think I saw pus in a royal toe. That's not a medical emergency. That's a treason-level biohazard. Infected elephant feet could knock out campaigns. Hence the mainstream obsession with preventative care. Did you know? There is a mural in Ajunta Cave 16 of a pedicurist presenting a jar of royal toe goo to a king. Meanwhile, courtiers are shown to be fainting. Rewritten. Scholars, our best guess for the caption here is, "Behold." Historians still debate whether the goo was for healing or heavy-duty fixing. It's known as the salve of salvation. It was glued with glitter. You apply turmeric paste, which is both an antiseptic by nature and an Instagram filter. Rajendra sighs. Is that relief or boredom? It's not easy to gauge the feelings of a patient who has the emotional range of a brick covered in velvet. When you need a little something to add a special touch to your bangers, there's no need to improvise anymore. Meet our coconut buffer. Your very own half-shell sander. Hand-stitched with peacock feathers on the edges for aerodynamic smoothing. You buff in slow circles, saying soft mantras in your head. Don't crush me. Don't crush me, don't crush me. Dev watches with wide eyes. Sir, what if the pus speaks? You pause. Consider it. Thus, we advance it to the court advisor. At least it will stop leaking. He doesn't laugh, rookie mistake. Humor is survival here. You either laugh off your trauma memes or become fodder for spooky tales told by stable boys. Next up, nail curvature assessment. A bronze protractor in the shape of a dancing yakshur. To ensure the smooth parade prance, the angle must be 32 degrees plus or minus 0.5. Too steep? The elephant trips over its own ego. Too shallow? Looks lazy. Lazy elephants equals lazy kingdom. And nobody wants a lazy kingdom. Except maybe the guy who naps in the grain silo. Legend. You measure 31.8. Close enough. You mark it with saffron ink. Rajendra shifts. The ink smudges. Now it looks like 81.3. You panic. Do you remeasure? Risk waking him? Or pray no one checks? You choose prayer. Specifically, the Ganesha Don't Fail Me Now chant. Works 60% of the time. Every time. Lunch break? Ugh. For lunch, I enjoy some roasted chickpeas smuggled in by Dev from the kitchen, and a sip of fermented, bubbling rice water that tastes of regret. You eat while a pile of toenails sits next to you. They're the size of oyster shells. Someone's already carved a tiny chariot into one. Artisanal trash. You admire it. Then you sneeze. Chickpeas go airborne. One lands in Rajendra's ear. He twitches. Doesn't wake. You salute every god, demon, and disgruntled bureaucrat in the pantheon. Dev offers you his last chickpea. You take it. Brotherhood is born in filth and legumes. Afternoon session, right hind toe. It's weird. Not cracked. Not infected. Just lumpy. It swallowed a minor deity and forgot to digest it. You prod it. Pulses. You yank your hand back. Dev, fetch the high priest and the exorcist, and perhaps bring an extra bucket. You stare at the lump. It stares back. Metaphorically, probably. Did you know that an elephant might develop bony growths known as exostoses because of an ill-fitting howdah or if the animal pranced about at parades excessively? A foot care specialist once found a complete Shiva lingam inside a lump on a toe, states one inscription near Mathura. Declared sacred and processed in golden slippers and never trimmed again. Historians still debate over whether divine intervention or a mere coincidence of calcium deposits was responsible. It was calcium, but the king liked the story better. You hear chanting. The high priest has come, the smoke rises. Is it singing? He asks. No, you say. Just throbbing. He nods sagely. Ah, it's a regular Tuesday. He sprinkles holy ash. The lump doesn't react. He shrugs. Just put it on the temple bill. You're alone again, with the lump and the elephant, and knowing you have to do it all over again for the queen's personal elephant. Rumor says she files her own toenails with diamonds and expects you to applaud. You are chiseling Rajendra's left toe. This is the one that resembles a stomach. Not a little slip. Not a oopsie-doodle TikTok fail. This is a complete metal kiss against keratin, with a noise like a coconut smashed in slow motion inside a cathedral. The chisel unexpectedly glides to the side and carves a crescent moon into the nail bed as a piece of ivory shrapnel flies straight into Dev's forehead. He yelps, Rajendra's ear twitches. Your soul exits your body via your left nostril. You catch it with your teeth. Swallow hard. Survival protocol. Don't scream. Don't run. Don't blink for 17 seconds. Blinking equals guilt. Feeling guilty means being delegated to inspect crocodile nails in the Sundarbans. Nobody comes back from that except one guy. He came back legless and started a podcast. True story. Probably. Sentence meaning. The silence that follows the slip is thicker than the beeswax you used this morning. Thus, it seems the baby slipped a bead of some sort. Even the flies pause mid-air. Somewhere, a conch shell blows. Probably just the wind. Or the universe screaming. Hard to tell. Dev's clutching his forehead. Blood? No. Just a red welt shaped like a tiny chariot wheel. Lucky kid. That could have been his eye. Or his career. Or both. Is this bad, mister? He whimpers. You examine the banana-shaped chip on Rajendra's nail. It's artful. Like a moon phase carved by a drunk god. You mumble, only if he notices. And then yell at the top of your lungs, nothing TOC here, your huge SS Majesty. Rajendra exhales. Warm air hits your neck. Smells like clove and doom. He doesn't move. You didn't die. Yet, elephants are known to have blood vessels and sensitive nerve endings in their feet. These enable them to detect seismic activity from as far as 3 miles away. Which means yes, they absolutely felt that. According to that inscribed note found in a scroll that's 1,600 years old. An elephant's aura can slip, so give compliments. Works 40% of the time. Remaining 60%, run. This offer of medical advice or trauma-related performance art by an intern is still open to tampering. It was once again Tuesday. Everyone was traumatized. You pick up the emergency resin, dyed crimson for landscape carving mistakes. You slather it over the crescent. Add crushed garnet for texture. And drama. Always drama. Look, everyone. You announce to no one. The mark of lunar devotion. A tribute to Chandra himself. Dev stares at you. Is that allowed? You shrug. Allowed? No. Survivable? Perhaps. He dusts some lotus powder over. For holiness. Or allergies. Either way, it sparkles. Rajendra snorts. Is that approval? Or indigestion? You choose to believe it's a standing ovation. But Karma's got a clipboard and she's taking notes. Because now it's time for Queen Vasundhara's personal elephant. Lakshmi the Lavish. She doesn't walk. She glides. On jeweled sandals. Made by you. Last week. Under threat of being turned into a footstool. Literally. Her toenails aren't trimmed. They're curated and filed into teardrop shapes and polished with mica and closed off with an infusion of rose lacquer that is costlier than your town. And today is the day for her pre-monsoon limited edition Aura Alignment Buff. Translated. Make the toes sparkle with NBE glow, or get reconverted to latrine augury. You gulp. Your chisel hand trembles. You hide it behind your back. Dev hands you a new scraper. This one's blessed. He whispers. By who? You ask. A goat, he says. The one who sneezed on the sandpaper last week. You sigh. Close enough. Lakshmi's shed has the rose smell of incense and a threat of the silent messenger. She's lying down, which is worse. When elephants lie down, everything's closer, including their judgmental eyes. She watches you approach. One eyebrow raises just a bit. Elephants have eyebrows. You bow. Deep. I come in peace and pumice. Honored one of the gleaming digits. She blinks. Slowly. That's your cue. You crawl toward her front left foot. It's pristine. Too pristine. Suspiciously pristine. Like she trims herself at night. Rumor says she does with a diamond file hidden under her howdah cushion. You kneel. Unroll your tools. A cloth made from moon silk. A very soft fabric. The resin infused with saffron tears is a blend of turmeric and regret. And the diamond buffer, not actually diamond, just quartz glued to a peacock feather handle. Marketing was wild even back then. You start buffing. Gentle circles. Clockwise for luck. Or counterclockwise for chaos. You forget which. You pick chaos. Because why not? Lakshmi sighs. A good sign? Or a warning. You keep going. Then disaster. Your elbow bumps the resin bowl. Tips. Crimson substance starts to ooze towards the bracelet on her ankle that is solid gold, which is inlaid with emeralds that are the size of pigeon eggs. You lunge. Catch it with your bare hand. Now you're covered in sticky red resin. And possibly cursed. Lakshmi turns her head. Looks directly at you, her trunk twitches. You freeze. Again. Third time today. New record. She reaches down. Not to crush you. To sniff your resin-covered hand. Then she curls her trunk and taps your forehead. Once. Gently. Like a queen knighting a fool and or marking him for sacrifice. You're not sure. Dev gasps. She blessed you. You say I was claimed next as a chew toy. Some kings used royal elephants for fortune-telling, while others believed they could see spirits and used that knowledge to win wars. Here's a tidbit from the fringe. There is a temple carving that is in dispute near Pataliputra. The carving shows an elephant putting a crown on a pedicurist. Meanwhile, priests are likewise shown to be fainting. The caption fragment, being thus uplifted by toe trust or other explanations, has caused historians no end of arguments over whether a deity or a coronet was at fault. This will make a good joke, thought the elephant. She hated the king. You finish Lakshmi's toes. They gleam like a liquid sunset. She stands. Doesn't limp. Doesn't glare. Walks away, tail flicking, like she owns you. She does. Dev high-fives you. You don't feel victorious. Feels like you just diffused a bomb, glitter, and spite. You look down at your resin-crusted hand. It's drying into a crusty red glove. You try to peel it off. Fail. I guess I'm wearing accessories now. Dev nods. Matches your aura. You groan. Don't start. On your way back to the tool shed, you walk past the goat pen. You also walk past the crying apprentice who got assigned camel hoof flossing. Then it strikes you. Tomorrow's client list includes Baby Prince's pet pygmy elephant. First nail trim ever. You stop walking. Dev stops too. Master? You turn towards him with wide eyes. Dev, run. Now, become a rice accountant. Learn fractions. Marry a woman who hates elephants. Live. He blinks. But, my calling? You grab his shoulders. Your purpose in life is not to get sat on by the emotional support pachyderm of a toddler during his maiden filing. Believe me, I've seen the scrolls. It keeps coming back to me on page 47. The squealing. You drop your tools. They clatter. Somewhere, an elephant trumpets. Sounds like laughter. Yours is next. Your bare feet are stuck to this marble that you hope is quartz and not last week's incident of the overenthusiastic buffer blood. You stand in the royal inspection courtyard where Maharaja Chandragupta II, who has conquered kingdoms, patron of poets, and certified toe tyrant, is lounging on a balcony draped in silk, looking like a god who just discovered eyeliner. His eyes, sharp as a tax collector's quill. His posture, relaxed like a cobra mid-strike. And his gaze, at the moment, the laser is locked on Rajendra's lunar-marked toenail. You swallow. Your throat clicks like a rusty chariot wheel. Dev feels trembly right next to you like a leaf in a storm. The toe ledger is today's notation and held open to the toe ledger, which you hastily add. No error. Definitely not. The Maharaja leans forward. One finger taps his jeweled armrest. Asterisk tap. Tap. Each tap shakes your back teeth. The courtiers behind him fan him with peacock feathers dipped in shades of indigo that cause anxiety. One drops his fan. Doesn't dare pick it up. Just stares at the ground like it might swallow him. You envy him. The ground looks safer than this conversation. Pedicurist. The Maharaja purrs. His voice is velvet dipped in arsenic. Explain the moon. You bow so low your forehead scrapes the floor, which is sticky. Again. Wise ruler of earth and sky. You start, your voice breaking like clay baked too long. The crescent is no accident. It is a sigil. This is a holy curve given by Chandra to symbolize your elephant's cosmic alignment. You wave your arms with exasperation as Rajendra scratches his ear with his trunk, looking for signals from above. The Maharaja doesn't blink. Cosmic alignment, he repeats. Flat. deadpan, like a guy who's been told too many times that the devil made him do it. It is a well-documented fact that the Gupta rulers were inclined towards astrology and celestial symbols, and they timed royal edicts based on planetary alignments. Fun fact, an ancient stone near Ujjain says that one king halted an entire invasion as his chief astrologer claimed that Mars was having a bad day. Historians still debate whether it was genuine faith or a clever excuse to sleep. It was a 2-for-1 deal. The astrologer got a promotion and stepped on by an elephant. Karma's a bitch. The Maharaja snaps his fingers. In the man's hand, a eunuch hastens forth with a shiny bronze mirror. He kneels, angles it under Rajendra's foot. What you see staring back at you is your work. Staring back is blood red in the glare of the noon sun. The work has the shine of a bloody crime scene, tattooed with the Instagram filter called Lux. The Maharaja squints. Paraphrase this 10 words. It looks intentional. You nod so hard your neck cracks. Oh, very majesty. We trained for months. Practiced on goat hooves. I sacrificed 3 good sandalwood scrapers to get the perfect curvature. Dev chokes beside you, probably swallowing his own tongue. Good instinct. Then disaster. Rajendra shifts, lifts his foot. The mirror picks up sunlight and reflects it straight into the face of the Maharaja. He flinches, blinks, scowls. The court holds its breath. Even the peacocks stop screaming. You're dead. You're so dead. They'll turn your bones into decorative nail files. But then, miracle. The Maharaja laughs. A loud barking sound came flying off the courtyard's immense walls like a hyena. Clever, he says. Very clever. The moon shines even when I do not command it. He stands up after being humiliated and claps once. The sound cracks like thunder. Double the barley ration. And send me the schematics. I wish to have the wheels of my war chariot carved with the same device. You don't move. Can't. Your knees have turned to wet clay. Dev elbows you. Hard. Bow again, idiot. You drop. Forehead to floor. Gratitude. Oh, radiant one. May your sandals always fit you and your toenails shine. He casually gestures his hand onward. Already bored. Already turning to his wine bearer. You back away. Slowly. Like defusing a landmine made of ego. When you're out of sight, you collapse behind a pillar. Dev collapses next to you. We lived, he wheezes. Barely, you croak. Next time, make a happy face. Maybe they'll mislead them into helping us. But your reprieve lasts exactly 17 minutes. Because now it's Queen Vasundhara's turn. She doesn't sit on a balcony. A woman travels down the hallway on a palanquin carried by 6 hefty-looking eunuchs. They have the physique of someone who benches elephants. Her robes shimmer like liquid emerald. Her jewelry jingles like a cursed wind chime. And her expression? I know you messed with my elephant's aura, she said in pure, distilled words, stopping right in front of you. Doesn't speak, just stares. You feel your soul trying to crawl out through your ears. You bow. Again. Your spine protests. Loudly. Lakshmi's toes, she says. Quiet. Deadly. They glow. You nod. Yes, your luminousness. The moon mica and the tear of they glow, she interrupts. Because the resin you spilled on her ankle bracelet, you claimed intentional glow. Deathly silence. Even Dev stops breathing. You consider faking a seizure. Might buy time. You stammer. Your grace, the resin, a tribute, She raises one perfectly arched eyebrow, the kind that could slice stone. Save it. I've seen the smear pattern. That wasn't artistry. That was panic with glitter. Many queens who ruled during the Gupta period wielded immense political and cultural power. Some even issued their own coins. There's an odd stone inscription that has come to light. Near Vidisha is a stone inscription that mentions the gardener of Queen Prabhavati Gupta. The reason was for trimming a hedge too symmetrically. It was apparently declared offensive to the asymmetry of the cosmos. She skipped her tea that Tuesday. The queen leans closer. The scent of her perfume, crushed jasmine mixed with existential threat, fills your nostrils. I'll tell you what happens, she whispers again. You will repolish Lakshmi's toes. Without resin, without glitter, without incident. And you will do it during the monsoon gala, in front of the entire court. She stands on the rain platform, you blink. The rain platform, Dev whimpers. The slippery one, with the ceremonial waterfall. The queen smiles. It's not a nice smile. Precisely. Consider it performance review. She glides away. Her eunuchs give you the same look as someone who just insulted their god, their mother, and their dinner. You slump against the wall. Dev pats your shoulder. You groaned at those words. At least you won't die alone. Thanks. Really. It helps. You say, your hand covered in resin. Still red. Still sticky. Would this, by chance, count as armor? Dev shakes his head. If only a rich slime layer would form from the rains, you sigh. Worth a shot. As you march out to the shed to get your non-resin, non-glitter, definitely not in a panic tools, you walk by the royal astrologer. He's muttering over a chart. You pause. Hey, could it be that the stars proclaim, do not polish elephant toes in the rains? He looks up, eyes bloodshot. The stars say abandon all hope. Also, Mercury's in your laundry basket. You nod. Figures. Dev tugs your sleeve. Master? What do we do? You square your shoulders. Crack your knuckles. What we always do, kid. Improvise. Blame the goat. Let's hope the elephant forgets about us. Spoiler. She won't. When rain hits your face, it feels like the universe is mad at you. The monsoon gala is in full swing. Dancers are twirling in sheets of water. Musicians are playing sitars that are definitely getting warped. Nobles sip on spiced wine under silk canopies, pretending that they're not soaked to the bone. And you? You stand and run off on the rain platform, a smooth and sloped marble stage which was engineered so water runs off it like a heavenly car wash for elephants. In this Lakshmi, the elephant stands at center stage, her jeweled sandals sparkling, trunk raised with what you desperately hope is regal grace and not, I'm about to sneeze directly onto the Prime Minister. Dev is clinging to your arm like a terrified koala. Master, the sandpaper's disintegrating. He wails. You glance at it. He's right. It's turning into sad, soggy cardboard. Then use your shirt, you yell. It's already ruined. He cries, however, and begins to rip his hem. You approach Lakshmi like you're defusing a glitter bomb attached to a landmine. Her feet, gleaming, perfect, terrifying. The queen, under her dry canopy and on her throne, drinks pink and lethal. Courtiers whisper behind jeweled fans. One points at you and laughs. You decide in your mind that the guy will do camel earwax inventory next week. Monsoon festivals in the Gupta period were grand public occasions, something like a mass pilgrimage, including ceremonial and royal performances, but mainly a raucous, muddy affair. A scroll fragment from Nalanda speaks of a slippery toe trial, which involved buffing the toenails of royal elephants in the rain, and was meant to test divine favor, as well as the grip of toes. Historians are divided on whether this was a ritual or an ancient version of reality television. It was both for the winner and the loser in the contest. You kneel, or try to. Your knees slide sideways. You catch yourself on Lakshmi's ankle. She doesn't flinch, just looks down at you with eyes that say, really? This again? You mutter an apology. Get out your no resin, no glitter emergency kit, river polished stones, for natural abrasion, banana fiber cloths, super absorbent, apparently, and a vial of aura mist, rosewater plus wishful thinking. You start with the left front toe, stone in hand, water pelting your back, crowd murmuring, queen smirking. You rub the stone skids, your hand flies, whap. You smack Lakshmi's cuticle, hard. She trumpets, not loud, not angry, more like surprised, like someone just told her taxes exist. The crowd gasps. The queen sits up. Dev faints. You freeze. Again. Fourth time today. New record. You wait for the foot of doom. It doesn't come. Lakshmi lifts her toe and wiggles it at you, slowly, deliberately, like she's saying, again, but better. Did you know elephants can use their toes like human fingers? They can also pick up coins, unlock gates, and criticize your pedicure. According to an interesting fact, a cave painting near Elora depicts an elephant giving a scoreboard, which indicates a score of 7 out of 10, with the comment, "Could use a bit of sparkle, but less violence." Historians are still debating whether this painting was done as a joke or a Yelp review. The 5-star rating system wasn't invented yet. They used coconuts. You switch tactics, ditch the stone, go full banana fiber. As you move in small circles, you mumble, "Please don't crush me, please don't crush me, please don't." When Lakshmi moves her weight, your butt hits a puddle. Cold water soaks through your dhoti. You yelp. The crowd laughs. The queen raises her cup in mock toast. You grit your teeth. Keep buffing. Because of the friction and desperation, the toe starts to shine, even without polishing. Lakshmi sighs. Is that approval or boredom? You'll take it. You move to the next toe. Right front. Sticky. Not from resin. From something green. Slimy. You poke it. It jiggles. Dev revives just in time to see it. Master, is that toe jelly? You stare. The other option is the world's saddest avocado. A reed tool gently scrapes it, peels away in one gelatinous sheet. Underneath, perfect nail. Lakshmi rumbles. Low, happy, relieved. You dare to smile. See, we're bonding. Dev gags. Bonding over biohazards. Romantic. Halfway through the 4th foot, disaster strikes. Not from Lakshmi, from above. A dancer, twirling too close to the platform's edge, slips. Arms windmill, silk scarf flies, and lands, perfectly tragically, over Lakshmi's head. The elephant freezes. The dancer screams. The crowd gasps. You dive. Not away. Toward. You grab the scarf. Yank. It doesn't budge. Lakshmi's trunk snakes out, wraps around the fabric, and pulls. The dancer goes airborne, lands in a heap of wet silk and shattered dignity. Lakshmi drops the scarf, looks at you. Then she puts her freshly buffed foot on the scarf, crushing it. You stare. So does the court. So does the queen. Lakshmi lifts her foot. The scarf now has a nice elephant footprint on it. The crowd erupts in applause. The queen nods, impressed. Resourceful, she murmurs. You're hyperventilating into a banana leaf. Elephants symbolically represented strength, power, and blessing in ceremony and art during the Gupta period, often seen as footprints. A merchant's ledger from Peshawar has records of royal elephant footprint scarves as a luxury item for 10 camels or equivalent in existential dread. Historians debate whether these were produced in bulk or as a result of a single traumatic incident. It was the dancer's mangoes? The dancer sued, settled for mangoes for life. You finish the last toe as the rain eases. Lakshmi raises her foot like the model that could bench press your whole family tree. The crowd cheers. The queen smiles, a real one this time. Acceptable, she declares. High praise. You bow. Water drips from your nose. Dev bows beside you, shivering. We did it, he whispers. We didn't die. You nod. Correction. We didn't die yet. As you walk away, the royal herald comes to you. He's holding a new assignment scroll. You unroll it. Your blood turns to ice. Baby Prince's pet pygmy elephant gets its first nail trim tomorrow. Dawn. You saw DV when the whole court was packed. He looks at you. Run, he suggests. You shake your head. Too late. I already see you eyeing the scroll. Point 613. Princess Fluffernutter. Dev whimpers. That's not a name. That's a curse. You sigh. Grab the tiny chisels. And the trauma counselor. If we survive this, we're opening a spa. For humans. With chairs. And roofs. You're bent over a steaming bowl of something that looks and smells like green oatmeal, swamp gas, and betrayal at 3 a.m. You're stirring it with a stick that was previously someone's walking cane. Probably the pedicurist who quit after the singing toenail incident. Dev stumbles in, eyes bloodshot, clutching a mixture of a scroll and a moldy muffin titled Sacred Scab Protocols. When pus becomes prayer, he drops it on your lap. I found it in the goat shed, master, beneath a mound of ritual hay. You don't look up. Just keep stirring. He flips the content open because it has hoof prints on it. Points. On page 12, it states that blessed items need to be kept in silver bowls and given to Ganesha before sunrise, or else they will be delayed due to the rains. You stop. Spoon drips. So you're telling me we worship Togu now? Dev nods solemnly. According to this, yes. Also, if it sparkles, it's a sign of divine favor. If it smells like regret, Standard Tuesday. During the Gupta era in mainstream veterinary medicine, bodily discharges from the holy animals were frequently ritualistically analyzed. Pus, scabs, and even earwax could signify something beneficial or harmful. There is a disputed inventory of the Bodh Gaya temple. This list includes Royal Elephant Toe Scab number 7, glitter variant. It claims to be in a gold casket beside the Buddha's tooth. Some historians still debate whether this was genuine respect or just an intern trying to avoid cleaning. The intern then became the head of glitter procurement, a legend. You scoop a blob of green sludge into a beaten-up silver bowl. It's supposed to be royal grade, but it's really just last year's leftovers from the festival. A guy named Chandra hammered it flat for you, and he definitely didn't measure twice. You hold it up to the oil lamp. It glistens, not sparkles, more like wet despair. Dev, does this look blessed or biohazardous? He squints. Could be both. It feels like a cursed smoothie. Carry the bowl outside. The miniature Ganesha shrine affixed to the stable wall shows the elephant god watching over the elephant's toes. A very meta image. You mumble the required chant, "O remover of obstacles, please remove this obstacle from Rajendra's left hind toe, and also perhaps remove me from this job." Pouring the sludge at the shrine's base. It oozes, slowly, like it's judging you. A frog hops out of the shadows, stares, croaks. You nod. Yeah, tell me about it. You get back inside and deal with the real issue, Lakshmi's mystery lump. It is still there, still pulsing, now with extra crust. You prod it with a reed. It squelches. Dev gags. Master, what if it's alive? You consider it. We then give it a name and a salary. Less expensive than hiring a new apprentice. You scratch gently. A flake comes off. Underneath, pink, moist, definitely not bone. You lean closer. Sniff. Tags like gold, turmeric, and existential dread. Dev backs away. I think that's your cologne. You ignore him. Press harder. The lump moves. Not much. Just a twitch. Like something shifting under the skin. You yank your hand back. Okay, new plan. We don't touch it. We worship it. Bring the incense and the tiny hats. Did you know elephants develop cysts because their skin is so heavy? A scientist found subcutaneous cysts or bursae on elephants. These sacs are actually harmless. A mural that is falling apart in Sarnath depicts a pedicurist placing a jeweled crown on the foot lump of an elephant, while priests take notes on protocols for ascension. Many historians debate whether the notes were medical records or early influencer marketing. The managing company set up a Facebook fan page for it, but it was subsequently disbanded. You light sandalwood incense. Wave it over the lump. Please reveal your meaning. Glorious rising. Are you a deity, demon, or just evil footwear karma? The lump doesn't answer, but Lakshmi does. She lifts her foot and places it gently on your head. Not crushing and just resting, like you're a footstool with opinions. You freeze. Again. 5th time today. Personal best. Dev snaps his fingers in front of your face. Master, she's blessing you, or marking you for sacrifice. Can't it be both, you whisper. You stay perfectly still. Lakshmi's foot is warm, heavy, smells like roses and responsibility. She picks it up after precisely 47 seconds. You count because panic loves math. Turns her head, looks you dead in the eye, and winks. You blink. Did she? Dev grabs your shoulders. She winked. That's a sign. You look at the lump. Pulses again. Slower, calmer, almost grateful. Or, you say slowly, she's messing with us. Elephants are wickedly funny. Dev says with a frown. Do they? You nod. Have you ever seen one pretend to sneeze to scare the tourists? Classic prank. Ancient. Dawn breaks. Time for Princess Fluffernutter. You arrive at the nursery paddock to find chaos. The 5-year-old baby prince, with his crooked crown and a gigantic lollipop, is shrieking, "Fluffernutter and oh like sandpaper. Fluffernutter want candy buff." The small pygmy elephant, all 4 feet of her, huffs and puffs around in circles, squealing like a possessed tea kettle and tossing flowers into the air as if this were a particularly demonic wedding. Her toenails? Tiny, sharp, glitter-coated, because of course they are. The queen sits in the shade, sipping a fizzy drink. She catches your eye, raises her glass. "Good luck," she mouths. You say, "I hate you." She smiles, wider. Believe it or not, pygmy elephants were once rare but highly prized in the courts of the Gupta Empire. They were kept as exotic pets, even decorated with jewelry. Piece of fringe news. A letter from a merchant from Tamralipti complains about the Fluffernutter tariffs. What happened was that the princess accidentally sat on imported silk shipments in a tantrum. This was when extra fees were charged on these silks. Some historians still debate whether it was an economic or passive-aggressive parenting policy. The prince later became emperor. His first decree, more candy buff. You walk up to Fluffernutter and present the world's tiniest buffer, which is a glued seashell on a lotus stem. She stops stomping, stares, sniffs your hand, then chomp. She bites the buffer, crunches it, swallows, looks at you expectantly. The prince claps. Again. Do again. You take out a spare. Same fate. Third buffer? Gone. Fourth? Reduced to glittery pulp. Dev whispers, "Maybe we just let her chew them smooth?" You shake your head. "Then we're not pedicurists. We're snack dispensers." I'm obliged to try again. Hold up a mango slice. Buff first. Treat after. Fluffernutter considers it. Trunk twitches. Eyes narrow. Then squeal. She charges. Not at you. Dev. He dives behind a hay bale. She tramples it. Finds him. Licks his face. He screams. The court laughs. The queen wipes a tear. You are grappling with a 500-pound toddler who thinks nail care is a contact sport. You wave the mango. Last chance, your fluffiness. Buff. Then feast. She pauses. Stomps once. Nods. You take it. Crawl toward her foot. Handshaking. Buffer raised. She lifts her toe. You touch it. She holds still. For 3 seconds. Long enough to swipe once. Schlick. One nail gleams. You pull back. She trumpets. Happy? Angry? Hard to tell. The prince yells, "Do the sparkly one." You look. All her nails are sparkly. You pick one at random. Buff. She tolerates it. Then stomp. Her foot lands inches from your crotch. You whimper. She giggles. Yes, elephants giggle. It sounds like a kazoo falling downstairs. You finish the last nail as the sun hits noon. Fluffernutter snatches the mango. Dev emerges, covered in slobber and hay. "We survived," he pants. You stare at your trembling hands. "Barely, and we've got scab theology to file. And a lump that might be a god." And Dev cuts you off. "Master, look," he points. Fluffernutter is sitting, cross-legged, like a tiny, glittery Buddha. One polished foot raised, displaying her toes, to the crowd, who erupts in applause. The queen stands, bows, to the elephant, to you. You bow back, lower, faster, because survival isn't pretty, but it is sparkly, and slightly sticky. You're mixing therapeutic soak solution, which is basically warm goat's milk and crushed neem leaves, when Dev enters, pulling along a kid like a sack of traumatized potatoes. No, not potato. You know what I mean. It's not going to happen. The boy looks like he is 10 with eyes as big as dinner plates. His robes are soaked in what you hope is mud, and not the yak butter from yesterday's ceremony. "Master," Dev gasps. "New apprentice." They found him crying behind the royal latrine again. He says he can't handle the sandpaper. "Scoop gunk off your forearm." "Name?" The kid sniffles. "Preedom." You nod. "Good name." It means beloved. In 3 days, you'll be beloved puddle of trauma. Welcome aboard. According to early archaeologists, though Gupta-era art was an astonishing technical accomplishment that could not have come about overnight, their reconstruction ideas were too circular to be of any serious use. Here is the paraphrase for your text. An intriguing detail. An incomplete contract from Ujjain specifies mandatory scream breaks every 45 minutes for junior pedicurists, which come with fines payable in dal if missed. Historians still debate whether this was merely a labor reform measure or something more substantial. The head elephant keeper hated screechy sobbing while they took a nap. You hand Preetam a dry cloth. Wipe your face, then wipe Rajendra's left hind toe. Gently. If you hear crunching, that's not the nail. That's your future. He whimpers. Dev pats his shoulder. Don't worry. I cried during my first corn removal. Got reassigned to goat earwax inventory for a week. Came back stronger. Stronger yet more smelly. Preetam looks at the cloth as if it were a death sentence. You soften slightly. Look, elephant will not care if you are afraid. Your fear smells worse than their feet. Third rule. If you faint, try to fall away from the toenail. Less scarring. He nods. Swallows. Approaches the barnyard like a sheep to the slaughter. You get the point. Trauma with extra steps objectifies other men who aren't a not man. Rajendra is relaxing in his enclosure, using his trunk to tear apart a palm frond. Preetam approaches. Stops 3 feet away. Trembling. You nudge him forward. Closer. He won't bite. Probably. Preetam takes 1 step. Rajendra lifts his head. Looks at him. Preetam freezes. Again. 6th time today. You're proud, a gentle puff of air. Preetam jumps. Drops the cloth. It lands on Rajendra's foot. The elephant blinks. Slowly. Miraculously. He lowers his head and nudges the fabric back toward Preetam with his trunk. The kid stares. You whisper. He's giving you a second chance. Preetam takes the wipe in his hand. Takes a deep breath. Reaches out. Touches the toe. Rajendra doesn't move. Preetam exhales. Starts wiping. Slow. Careful. You nod. Not bad. You give him a piece of shark skin and ask him to buff it now. He takes it. Approaches the nail. Lifts his hand. He drags the buffer on my nail like he is trying to start a fire. Rajendra flinches. Lifts his foot. Preetam screams. Drops the buffer. Falls backward into a pile of fresh dung. You facepalm. Dev winces. Rookie mistake. He utilizes the angry badger technique to help Preetam up. He's covered in sludge and shame. Lesson 2, you say. Pet as if you are best with a sleeping tiger. He didn't fight, he nodded, tears mixing with the manure. Yes, master, you sigh. Go wash up. Run then to Dev 4 intro to non-fatal buffing. You turn to Rajendra. Sorry about that, your thunderousness. New meat. Still tender. Rajendra rumbles. Low. Almost amused. You swear he's smirking. Elephants are very intelligent. They can tell the 2 types of handlers apart. They adjust around the expert and novice, sometimes patiently, other times not. In a veterinary manuscript from Nalanda, we have a note. If elephant rolls eyes while getting first buff from apprentice, take it as divine sanction and give him extra mangoes. Historians continue to argue whether it was an observation of behavior or a case of theological fanfiction. It was fanfiction, written by a novice who got sat on. Twice. Lunch is cold lentils and regret. Preetam sits beside you, scrubbed raw, eyes red. Will you ever become accustomed to this master? You chew slowly. Used to? No. You'll learn to function despite it. Like a monk who meditates next to a volcano. Or a tax collector who steals your grain with a smile. Dev chips in. I still scream inside whenever Lakshmi winks. Preetam shudders. She winks? You nod. Oh yeah, just before she chooses to either bless you or bench press you. You toss a chickpea at him. Eat. Build strength. You meet Fluffernutter tomorrow. The color drains from his face. The candy demon? You grin. She really likes Princess of Polished Toes. But yeah, Candy Demon works. The afternoon session was an awful training montage. You get Preetam to practice on a wooden model of an elephant's foot, made by a drunk carpenter, so it has uneven nails and one toe wobbles dangerously. Steady pressure, you coach. Circular motion. The nail is the ego of your worst enemy. Smooth it down, but not break it. Buffer slips. Nail model squeals. The carpenter must have installed a hidden whistle. Preetam yelps. Dev laughs. You don't. Preetam can buff without screaming again 3 hours later. Progress. Barely. You reward him with a sip of fermented rice water. He gags. Tastes like feet. You pat his back. Soon you won't notice. Your taste buds will surrender, like the rest of you, before you can be a master of the image you ought to have. As in the case of other crafts, the inscriptions located not far from Mathura relating to a master pedicurist tell us. One master pedicurist is alleged to have made his apprentices safely buff river stones every night for a full moon cycle, until their hands forgot fear and remembered only friction. Historians are still arguing over whether that is genius or just child labor. It was hard work. The stones got larger. The kids got calluses. Dusk falls. It is time for the corn removal trial. Not metaphorical. Literal. Rajendra has a stubborn corn on his right front pad. Thick, yellow, and very deep. Do your job without making him smash your brains into paste. Preetam peeks through Dev's fingers as he watches. You kneel. Take out your best chisel, antelope bone, edge sharpened by monsoon tears. Press the tip of the corn. Rajendra shifts. You freeze. Again. 7th time. You're basically a statue with anxiety. You exhale. Push gently. The chisel bites. A curl of keratin peels away. Rajendra rumbles. Not angry. More like relieved? You keep going. Slice by slice. The corn surrenders. Finally, you lift the prize. A foul-looking golden nugget the size of a beetle nut. Preetam gags. Dev applauds. Masterpiece. You place it inside a silver bowl. Offer to Ganesha. Perhaps he will forgive us for being here. You stand. Stretch. Back cracks like a chariot axle. Preetam approaches. Tentative. Master. Can I try? You stare. Hand him the chisel. On the model. Not the real thing. Yet. He nods. Attacks the wooden foot with terrifying focus. The wobbly toe falls off. He stares at it. Then at you. Oops. You sigh. Welcome to the guild, Preetam. Your first official task is to glue that back on. With extra resin. And perhaps a prayer. He salutes. Runs off. Dev shakes his head. He's gonna die. You shrug. We all are. Some just sooner. You look at the silver bowl with more glitter. The corn gleams. Almost pretty? You mutter historians will lose their shit over this. Dev chuckles. Let M. We've got toes to trim. A pygmy princess who imagines that a buffer is a snack. Why didn't we become rice accountants again? Dev winks. You can't argue there's any deception with rice. You're elbow deep in a clay vat of perfumed pus protocol solution, which is just rosewater, crushed lavender, and the desperate hope that smell can override biology. When Dev slides into the room like a man fleeing his own shadow, he's holding a bottle with the label Royal Toe Elixir No. 3, not the one that glows, and a scroll so wet it's practically soup. Master, he breathes. The high priest says that Lakshmi's lump is spiritually congested and gets upset that we haven't oiled it with ghee before noon, or it will get monsoon misaligned. You keep your gaze. Just keep stirring. Did he specify which monsoon? I think my internal one is flooding with that. Dev opens the scroll. Points. He underlined ghee 3 times and drew a sad elephant. You sigh. Scoop a glob of sludge onto a silver spoon. Sniff. Things smell like dead people at a spa. Dev nods. But fancy. During the Gupta period, ghee, clarified butter, was widely used in rituals. It was applied to idols, poured into sacred fire, and yes, sometimes smeared on animals for blessing or medicinal purposes. An inventory from Kazambi tells us that one merchant sold elephant lump anointing ghee, extra holy, slightly salty, at 3 times the price of ghee. It came with a footnote, do not consume. Or do. We're not your mom. Historians debate whether this was a form of sacramental commerce or opportunistic exploitation. The priest bought a new chariot through grifting. You walk to Lakshmi's pavilion with a vial in your hand while Dev follows silently. Sitting on a mound of cushions made of silk, her trunk nonchalantly braiding a lotus stem as if getting ready at a hair salon. Her lump, still there, still pulsing, now with extra sheen, like it's been moisturizing without you. You bow. Holy grease we bring, O honored one of mysterious swellings. She blinks, slow, deliberate, then lifts her foot. It quietly places it on a footrest embellished with beautiful jewels resembling a coiled naga. You take it as an invitation. Kneel. Uncork the vial. The ghee inside shimmers gold. Smells like burnt sugar and bad decisions. You dip 2 fingers in. Cold. Slippery. You press them into the lump. Absorbs it. Instantly. Like a sponge made of judgment. Lakshmi rumbles. Low. Satisfied? Relieved? Hard to tell. You add more. Massage gently. The lump softens. Pulse slower. Almost sleepy? Dev whispers, "Is it working?" You shrug. "What we're doing is marinating a god in milk." You finish. Wipe your hands on your dhoti. Lakshmi lowers her foot, stares at you, then trumpet. Short, sharp, like a mic drop. The courtiers watching from afar applaud. The high priest nods sagely from his balcony. The congestion lifts. The rains shall come. We might have just greased a cyst, is what you mutter. Same diff. It is a well-documented fact that ancient Indian veterinary texts contained ritualistic instructions alongside treatment protocols and medicines as part of veterinary care. Anointing, chanting, and offerings were believed to be as effective as any physical treatment. They say an inscription on the walls of some cave near Nashik talks of this pedicurist who cured an elephant's sad toe by singing lullabies in Sanskrit and applying ghee mixed with the moonlight and a big dash of mild sarcasm. Historians can't determine whether it was holistic medicine or effective PR. The elephant helped to promote PR along with a hit song on Toenails. Preetam runs in, chip wedged in his sash and all terror, as he disrupts lunch. The chisel. "Master!" Fluffernutter escaped. She's in the royal granary, eating the tax grain. You get up so fast, you knock the ghee vial over. It rolls. The spills were like the doodles of a drunk god. "How?" Dev yelps. "She's 4 feet tall." Preetam gulps. "She used a stool. And a rope." "He bribed the guard with a mango," you say. "Sure she did." You grab the emergency kit. Mini buffers, tiny chisels, a pouch of candy. It's non-negotiable. Sprint toward the granary. Dev and Preetam follow, slipping on ghee puddles. The scene inside is chaos. The fluffernutter stands on a potato sack. Its head is buried in a barrel of barley. It is squealing. The tiny prince is calling for joy from a ladder while tossing her grapes. Fluffernutter eat taxes. Fluffernutter smart. Guards unable to do anything, they lower their spears. One's crying. You approach slowly. Hold up a candied tamarind. "Princess?" "Buff time." She pauses. Trunk dripping grain. Eyes narrow. Considers. Then stomp. She leaps down. Lands beside you. Lifts her front left foot. You blink. She wants a buff? Now. Dev nods. Power move. She's negotiating. You kneel. Pull out a seashell buffer. Start polishing. She holds still. For 10 whole seconds. Long enough to make one nail gleam. Then snatch. She grabs the candied tamarind. Chews. Grins. Trunk sticky. You sigh. Worth it. Barely. Pygmy elephants were known to escape from royal courts because they were small and clever animals. Guards had difficulty keeping them from escaping, especially with a few treats around. A fragmentary edict from Pataliputra informs us that the royal granary keeper is fined 100 silver coins or equivalent in dried mangoes for failure to elephant-proof storage against Princess Fluffernutter's snack attacks. Whether this was an example of fiscal policy or mere snack shaming is still a topic up for debate by historians. It was a shame. The keeper switched careers to a nap consultant. The afternoon offers Rajendra's monsoon-ready moisturizing. As dry weather cracks his pads, parade prancing will be impossible. You combine coconut oil, turmeric, and ground pearl into a paste, cheaper version. Crushed oyster shell painted white. Slather it on thick. He sighs. Blissful? Bored? You'll never know. Preetam watches, fascinated. Master, why pearl? Does it make his feet fancier? You snort. No, kid. It makes the invoice fancier. Kings pay a little more for luxury exfoliants, even if it's just seashell glitter. You rub the paste in. Rajendra's foot twitches. Not pain. More like appreciation? He lifts his head, looks at you, and rumbles, deep, vibrating through your bones. Dev gasps. He's purring. You shake your head. No, he's plotting. You probably want extra mangoes, she said with a laugh. Progress. Barely. Dusk falls. The dreaded ceremonial foot inspection and aura alignment takes place. In front of the Maharaja's raised dais, you, Dev, and Preetam take your places. Tools polished, robes clean-ish, souls braced. Lakshmi stands in the middle with her feet shining and the lump smooth and calm. Fluffernutter is next to her after a bath, nails shining, chewing on a grape like a mob boss. The Maharaja inspects, nods. Acceptable. High praise. The queen smiles. The lump seems generally at ease. Ghee does sublime magic. Your radiance. She winks. Bribery also has the same, you don't deny. As you back away, Preetam whispers, Master, did we do well? You glance at Rajendra, still asleep. At Lakshmi, radiating smug serenity. Fluffernutter is currently trying to braid the Prime Minister's beard. Good? Kid, we survived. With glitter and minimal crushing. We won the battle here. Dev gives Preetam a high five. Welcome to the guild. Next week, camel earwax. Don't cry, mother, let me go. You pat his shoulder. Don't worry, by then you'll be numb. Or promoted. You look towards the stables where the moon is rising. Full, bright, watching. You mutter, tomorrow's another day. And another toe. Dev smirks. And most likely another lump. At least we've got ghee. The argument is moot. The ghee clinches it. You woke up this morning smelling like a compost demon who lost a fight with a durian, but spiritually prestigious like a demigod. Congratulations, the title of your job, Royal Elephant Pedicurist to the Gupta court, is of a higher ranking than that of the priests in the case of temple priests. Not because you're holier, not because you chant better. If you don't show up, the king's war elephant can't march, the army stalls, and the neighboring kingdom laughs, then invades, then replaces your hallowed hymns with their aggressively off-key victory ballads. So yeah, priests bow when you pass, not out of reverence. You are afraid of accidentally putting hoof gunk on their freshly washed dhoti. You have a dodgy odor of sour yellow mango skin, fermented in swamp sweat, but hierarchy is hierarchy. The Gupta Empire had a rigid caste system, with Brahmins at the top, followed by warriors, merchants, and laborers at the bottom. Quirk, an unspoken emergency caste tier, existed for essential jobs that were so desperately needed, they received a temporary divine waiver. Your Exhibit A. Historians are still puzzled whether to conclude that your position was the result of bureaucratic determination or a spiritually elevated position, as if the man with his hands deep in keratin shavings actually cares. You don't wear robes. You have been wearing burlap soaked in vinegar since your regular laundry gave up on you 3 monsoons ago. Your sandals? Custom stitched from yak hide and regret. They squelch. Always. Even indoors. Especially indoors. Last Tuesday, one noblewoman fainted after mistaking your carriage for a sewage cart. You didn't correct her. In fact, you really went for it. Slow-mo strut, arms out, whispering, "Behold, the toe reaper cometh," while she promptly vomited in a flower vase. Promotion material. Your workstation? The royal stables have a drain ditch nearby. A beautifully done drain with murals of elephants. All the elephants are minus their feet. Probably censorship. Or trauma art. You've tried burning incense. It doesn't help. The smoke twirls around the stench like a gentleman, pretending not to notice the guest without any pants. Payment? Sacks of barley marked with the royal seal, which we've been known to use as toilet paper during rationing. Luxury. Occasionally, you get gifted a silk sash. You use it to tie back your hair while chiseling. Later, you wipe elephant snot on it. Petty? Maybe. Cathartic? Absolutely. The priests glare. You wink. They cross themselves. You cross your chisel blades like swords. Power isn't always thrones and mantras. The cracked nail at a time, it's knowing that you hold the actual keys to mobility. And if the high priest complains about your unclean aura, you trip near his ceremonial rug. Allow him to explain why Vishnu's altar now faintly smells of toe jam. Karma's a beast, and so are your clients. But let's be real, your power is conditional like Wi-Fi during a thunderstorm. One bad haircut and one bad ingrown hair later, you're transferred to latrine duty with a toothbrush made of sticks. You are downgraded as per the court astrologer because you were allegedly filing a toenail when the moon was low. Allegedly. You got even by forgetting to trim the queen's elephant. Next thing you know, an astrologer began reading goat entrails behind barracks as a side income. Coincidence? You left your chisel on his pillow. Next time, read the stars, or I'll read your souls. With a note, your social life? Non-existent. You don't count the groom's betting on how long you'll last each session. The chance of getting launched from the haystack AAF by lunch is 7 to 1. You take the bet every day. Being in a mess pays you well in adrenaline and free mangoes. Slightly bruised, tossed your way from palace balconies like confetti. The chief minister of the king once asked if you would care to receive spiritual purification so that your aura could be elevated. You gave him a toenail that was sealed in beeswax. He said it was a blessed relic. He enshrined it. You charged admission. Donations only. Paid in pickled limes or sarcasm, both accepted. At festivals, you're seated above the musicians, below the elephants. It's the danger zone VIP section. Nobles fan themselves with peacock feathers. You use a dried banana leaf, saved from the elephant's snack yesterday, to fan yourself. Classy? No. Effective? Surprisingly, yes. It all became especially noticeable when you smack a fly in his speech. He got a standing ovation from the elephants. You've been offered marriage proposals. Twice. On both occasions. By ladies who have lost their husbands and admire your strength. Translation. I need someone dumb enough to handle my husband's war mammoth. You said no. Politely, they sent each recipient a carved soapstone replica of an elephant toenail. The engraved message they sent back was a thank you note for emergencies. Also, poison antidotes. Just in case. The real kicker? Your name appears in royal decrees. They didn't call him servant or laborer. They called him keeper of the sacred stride. Sounds grand until you learn it is bureaucratic code for guy who stops elephants from tripping over themselves during coronations. Still, you frame the scroll. Hang it above your cot. Nearby the jar marked emergency toe dust. Do not sniff. Priests still side-eye you during processions. You hum a devotional hymn off-key while buffing a nail the size of a molar. They twitch. You smile, the elephant's trumpet. The crowd cheers. You're just trying to avoid breathing in airborne fungal spores and stay employed by God. It's not glamorous. It's not clean. But my sweet thing, you control this kingdom of dung with your one calloused fingertip. You find yourself squatting under Devdutta, the king's favorite war elephant, a name borrowed from a Buddha who surely never had to endure your level of foot treason, when you catch a glimpse of it. A single, swollen, angry ingrown toenail, curling inward like a vengeful blacksmith's scimitar against a chiropodist's would-be calluses. You freeze, not out of fear, out of sheer bureaucratic dread, because one ingrown equals one riot. Allegedly, in the language used in the court, roping up banker Deepak Gupta allegedly means happened twice. Buried one, bad waning corrected the other. Elephants were effectively used as tanks in wars because they actively charged into the front lines of the war. Lose mobility, lose battles. Quirk? Reports give word of the Great Toe Revolt of 398 CE, when a filthy, untrimmed royal elephant called Shakti refused to budge until the matter of her nail is seen to with reverence and rosewater. So she sat, for 3 days, blocked the entire eastern gate. Nobles missed brunch. Merchants missed tariffs. Priests missed their nap time. Chaos. Historians still debate whether the riot was a political theater or a genuine labor strike by pachyderms. Did the elephant file a union grievance before sitting her butt on the palace steps? Girl boss energy. You respect it. You hope that today, she doesn't pick to reenact her most significant hit. The air smells of wet hay and anxiety, and yesterday's failed incense. Lavender plus turmeric equals regret in aerosol. Devdutta shifts her weight. You hear the ominous creak of 5,000 kilos reconsidering its existence. Your chisel trembles. Not you, the tool. You're all business. Cold, calm, terrified. You've trained for this. I was taught by the old man Karna, who lost 2 fingers and 1 kneecap in the first incident. He was probably confused by a calf's fright at a rasp that was misplaced. The last thing he told you was, have a ball like the gods are watching, especially the petty ones. They love drama. You wedge the chisel, whisper sweet nothings in Sanskrit. O great pillar of the earth, bearer of crowns and occasional tantrums, allow my poor self to relieve you of thine hairs. Devdutta snorts. It sounds suspiciously like laughter, or indigestion, hard to tell. The toenail of hers shines under the noon sunshine, not healthy, with menace, like a cursed amulet forged in the armpit of a sweaty yak. You strike, gently, too gently. The nail scoffs, doesn't budge. You strike again, harder. The chisel slips, sparks fly. Devdutta flinches. The ground shakes. Somewhere, a noble drops his beetle nut. You mutter a prayer to Ganesha backwards just in case he's having an ironic day. Strike 3. The nail cracks. Not fully, just enough to release. Oh no. Oh no. A puff of ancient, fermented cheese gas escapes from the rift. It hits you like a spiritual slapstick. You gag, your eyes water. Devdutta sneezes, directly onto your back. You're now wearing a fresh coat of elephant snot couture. Runway ready. It smells of regret and rotting lotus. But the nail? It's loose. Victory? Maybe. You grab the extractor tongs, built from temple scrap metal and the hopes of interns. As you clamp down, Devdutta lifts her foot. Not aggressively, curiously, like she's inspecting your work or contemplating stomping you into a decorative rug. You hold your breath. The crowd, yes, there's always a crowd, leans in. Nobles place bets. One yells, 50 barley if he cries. Another counters, double if the elephant sits. You twist. The nail pops off with a noise that is similar to the sound made by a cork popping out of a bottle of swamp slime. Devdutta rumbles, not in pain, in a satisfaction, relief, you'll never know. But she lowers her foot gently, steps back, blinks at you. After this, which will terrify you, she curls her trunk and taps your head. Twice. Blessing, warning, performance review. The court scribe faints. The finance minister applauds. High priest speaks of unnatural alliances. You stand, wobbly, triumphant, covered in substances not meant for humans outside a horror movie. The ingrown you have in your palm is thick, yellowed, and curved like a demon's pinky ring. You raise it high. The crowd goes wild. Someone throws marigolds. Someone else throws a rotten mango. You catch it. Take a bite. Why not? You've earned it. After some time, they'll write in the archives. The pedicurist calmed the beast and preserved the peace. What they won't write, you almost caused a civil uprising because one toenail was a commitment phobe. It is also possible that what was termed a riot was not actually a riot. The elephant was giant and very opinionated. It wanted basic foot care like a diva with tusks. And yet, here you are, alive, employed, smelling like a crime scene, but employed. You tuck the ingrown into your pouch, labeled, evidence, do not lick. Tomorrow, you'll sell it to a merchant who swears it's a fertility charm. He'll make a fortune. You'll get paid in pickled radishes. Worth it. Within the Gupta Empire, power does not come from swords or scrolls. It comes from knowing which tantrums are worth the fight and which are not. The evening before the big chariot cultural display, whose glitziness has struck everyone as Clochella or maybe even Marigold's final showdown, without elaborating and without losing face, please, is elaborate and fancy. But there would be no Portaloos, very unfortunate. No sandals post-sunset, quite the norm here. And no elephants, cultural faux pas. You are ordered to shine 50 royal elephant feet before sunrise. Not trim, not a file, Polish. It's almost as though they are going to walk on a marigold-colored red carpet. 50 feet. If you're keeping track, that's 200 toenails. You're still keeping track, of course, because sanity left your body 3 monsoons ago. It now lives rent-free in a yak herder's tent near the Himalayas. Gupta-era festivals were huge state-sponsored events, involving parades, music, feasts, and elephants dressed and painted to resemble temples. Quirk: there's a wall painting in Udayagiri of an elephant that's wearing anklets made of real gold bells. Historians still argue whether this made a ringing sound or just traumatized birds in the area to retire early. Bonus trivia: an inscription mentions the gleam of sacred sauls, which you're pretty sure is code for make them sparkle or we'll replace you with a goat and a toothbrush. You're not alone. Oh no, the palace has generously set you up with 6 apprentices. All of them line twitches. All of them convinced that this is just a stepping stone to becoming royal dessert testers. Bless their naive little hearts. One of them just asked if elephants like glitter. You gave him a chisel and pointed at Devdutta's left hind foot. He hasn't spoken since. Probably trauma bonding with a hoof pick. The polishing compound, ground pearl powder mixed with coconut oil, and the tears of interns who believed that royal service meant handing out mango lassies. It smells divine, costs more than your yearly barley stipend, and stains everything. Your arms look like you lost a fight with a disco ball. The stable floor? Now a slip and slide of opulence. One apprentice already ate dirt trying to buff toe number 7. A servant is fanning him with a palm frond and looking very judgmental while he sleeps. You work in shifts. Between midnight and 3 a.m., front feet. 3 to 5, hinds. 5 till dawn. Quick fixes, dealing with any emergency ingrown, and bribing the head priest to not chant purification mantras over your tools. He thinks your chisels are cursed. You believe his incense only hides the foul smell of his feet. Mutual disdain. Healthy workplace dynamic. Devdutta is your first. She lies down on her own. Miracle or trap. You choose. You take it. Place your foot wide apart like a surfer riding a massive, hairy wave. Buff in circles. Whisper affirmations. You are majestic. You are smooth. I'm not afraid of you crushing me, even though you definitely could. Either meditating or plotting. Hard to tell. Her toenails gleam under torchlight. You check out your own horrified face mid-buff. Vanity? Survival instinct? Both? By 2 a.m., you're hallucinating. The toenails start whispering. More oil, says one. Tell the king his crown is off-kilter, mutters another. You do it. Pour more oil. Nod vigorously at the toenail. Apprentice number 4 sees you talking to a hoof. He backs away slowly. Smart kid. At 4 a.m., disaster. Another apprentice, the one who attempted to argue that a peacock feather is a suitable buffer, accidentally polishes that toenail 17 times. It's now shinier than the moon. Devdutta notices, lifts her foot, inspects it, then stares directly at the apprentice. He whimpers. You step in. Distract her with a handful of jaggery cubes. Crisis averted. Barely. You demote apprentice number 2's status to bucket carrier. His new title is Minister of Sludge Transport. He cries. You pat his head. Welcome to management. Dawn approaches. This is the last one, the bearer of thunder. King Samudragupta's personal parade elephant Indravahana, whose feet, enormous. His temperament, questionable. His toenails? One has a crack shaped like a screaming face. You swear it blinked at you. You polish anyway. Add extra pearl dust. Say you're sorry to whatever gods live in those cracked plates. As the sun crests the palace spires, you stand back. 50 feet. Gleaming. Glorious. Prepared to trample through time, and quite a few flower beds. The king arrives. Gasps. Claps. offers you a golden anklet. You bow, slip it onto your own ankle. Heavy, cold, smells faintly of privilege and impending tendon damage. Worth it. The parade begins. Elephants glide past cheering crowds. Their feet, immaculate. Their steps, confident. Yours? My whole body is one big blister, sticky with oil. You lean against a pillar. Eat a stolen laddu. Watch the spectacle. Smile. You did it. 50 feet. No riots. No trampling. Just a little crisis of existence. A few crying apprentices. And toenails that may or may not have tried to unionize. Festival success? Check. Mental stability? Debatable. Employment status? Miraculously intact. Tomorrow you sleep. Today, you survive. Again, you wake up to the sweet, soothing sound of betrayal. Not a scream, not a war horn, not even Devdutta's pre-breakfast trumpet of doom. No, it is the soft and sinister snick, snick, snick of your favorite chisel sliding across keratin. Except, of course, it is not sliding. The screeching, like a cat pulled across a chalkboard made of rusty nails and unwise decisions. You look down. The tool in your hand? Certainly not the shiny iron rasp that was forged by blind monks and blessed with unbreakable focus. The bristles of this one are stiff, sharp, and suspiciously quill-like. Someone replaced your tools with porcupine quills glued to mango wood handles. And not just any porcupine. These are from the Himalayan spineback, the type that doesn't just prick you. It leaves behind small barbed hooks that whisper stormy curses as they fester. Since last monsoon, you may know that apprentice number 3 got quite a nick. For 3 days, he howled and recited tax codes backwards. Therapy wasn't invented yet. They gave him some extra barley and told him to tough it out. Gupta artisans were expert metallurgists who could produce steel as good as that of steel scalpels, razors, and elite elephant nails. Quirk: only one inventory scroll survives from Pataliputra that lists 1 royal toe buffer, a donation from Queen Prabhavati, later seized after yak butter and ceremonial flute incident. Historians still debate whether the confiscation happened because of a hygiene violation or because the Queen saw someone use it to put jam on toast. You're betting on jam. Royals love drama, also carbs. You stare at the quill brush in horror. It stares back. Metaphorically, probably. The handle features a bunch of mini elephants all giving you the finger with their trunk. Subtle. You sniff it. Smells like betrayal and cheap incense. Classic prank setup. But who? The priests? Too holy. The apprentices? Too terrified. The king? He was not minding his smells. First counting the spoils and wondering why his chariot smelled like feet again. Then you see it. A note written in saffron ink on banana leaf parchment will turn up under your workbench. It reads, "Polish with pain, shine with suffering." This fun title suggests the toenail had someone special in mind, or perhaps a sense of humor. You've seen that doodle before, on the finance minister's personal wax seals. That sneaky, sandal-wearing, spreadsheet-loving weasel. Why? Last week, you buffed his ceremonial footstool so hard it turned into a coaster. He complained. You shrugged. He said smooth surfaces calm spiritual turbulence. He didn't laugh. You knew then. Revenge was coming. Just didn't think it'd be porcupine core. You test the brush on a scrap of discarded hoof. It doesn't polish. It shreds. It is like a little lumberjack with anger problems and no OSHA. You groan. The parade's in 6 hours. 50 feet still need touch-ups. Now, your toolbox resembles something that was put together by a cursed tree spirit with a hatred for your feet. You improvise. Raid the kitchen. Steal coconut husks. Scrape them into fibrous pads. Douse in clarified butter. It's not elegant. It's not royal approved. But it buffs. Sort of. Coats everything in grease that smells like your breakfast and a lawsuit. Devdutta licks her own foot afterward. You take that as a 5-star review. Apprentice number 5 locates the actual equipment hidden in a gourd that has "Sacred Ash. Do not inhale" written on it. The instruments are covered with honey and the wings of a beetle. Ritual sabotage? Or just chaotic neutral energy? Either way, you scrape them clean. Kiss each chisel. Promise never to leave them unattended again. Even take them to bed with you that night. Romance is dead. Long live codependency with carbon steel. The elephants are admirable, which is why the finance minister strolls by at 2 p.m. with a glass of rosewater lemonade in his hand. Wow, he says, what a difference. Such luster. Did you use something new? You smile. Sweetly. Step aside. After polishing, the foot of Indravahana is now covered with coconut grease, and a single porcupine quill is stuck right between toes 3 and 4. The minister pales. You say in a whisper, he likes it rough. He flees, drops his lemonade. You keep the cup. Use the engraved mug with the phrase trophy of treachery to drink your barley tea in the morning. Tastes better with vengeance. By dusk, all 50 feet are done. Shiny, slightly sticky. One still has a quill stuck like a middle finger from the animal kingdom. The king doesn't notice, or pretends not to. Bless him. The parade goes without a hitch unless you count the finance minister stumbling over his own dhoti while avoiding the eye of toe number 7. You collapse at midnight, exhausted, victorious, holding your reclaimed chisels like Excalibur. Someone tried to break you with rodents and woodcraft. Joke's on them. You file toenails for a living. Betrayal is just another Tuesday. And porcupines? Cute. But there is no match for a pedicurist who's have a grudge and has ghee. Sleep comes fast. According to our dreams, we wear toe socks for finance ministers and the queen's crowns. You smile in your sleep. Revenge, like keratin, grows back sharper. Midnight. The palace is snoring. The elephants are dreaming about mango trees and trampling tax collectors. And you, because you're wide awake, huddled in a royal hoof pit, chiseling a toenail grown sideways since last monsoon, because ghosts apparently don't have business hours, or personal space, or your urgent desire to get some sleep before your eyes separate and start suiting themselves. They say untrimmed nails summon rain demons. Not they as in some people. They are, in the high priest, the court astrologer, 3 intensely sweaty soothsayers, and that damn intern who won't stop leaving goat skull charms on your desk labeled urgent spiritual maintenance. I asked him what happens if you ignore it. He said, clouds are crying, but not rain, and ran away. You found his sandals later, filled with frogs. Coincidence? In this empire? Please, facts have a variability. The failure of the monsoons led to famine and unrest. The priests used to blame everyone except themselves. Quirk? There's a broken inscription near Mathura, meaning when the great nail is overlooked, Indra's dithers sideways. Historians still debate whether it refers to actual rain failures or just poor drainage at the temple latrines. You're convinced it's about Devdutta's left front toenail. That thing likely has its own gravitational pull and possibly a profile on LinkedIn. You scrape. The nail resists, not physically, spiritually, like it knows you're tired, like it's waiting, taunting. You mutter a mantra, backwards, for protection, or spite. Hard to tell anymore. The air thickens, not with humidity, with presence. A cold breeze goes through your spine, which is odd. Your only windows here are barred and currently occupied by bats who pay rent in guano. You glance up, the torchlight flickers. Shadows stretch. One appears suspiciously like a guy made of storm clouds holding a clipboard titled Outstanding Keratin Debt. You keep filing. A drop hits your shoulder. Not sweat. Not elephant snot. Rain. Indoors. In the dry season. You look up. The ceiling's dry. The drop came from nowhere. Or worse, from elsewhere. You wipe it. Smells like wet stone and regret. Classic demon calling card. Another drop. Then another. Soon. It's drizzling over Devdutta's foot. Only her foot. The rest of the stable? Bone dry. She snores. Oblivious. Or complicit. You wouldn't put it past her. Smashing over the incense altar happened accidentally. Twice. Right after you skipped her bi-weekly buffing. Suspicious? Absolutely. But elephants don't summon weather entities. Do they? You speed up. Chisel flying. Nail dust puffs like cursed glitter. The rain intensifies. Tiny puddles form around the hoof. One apprentice, the brave or brain-dead one, peeks in. It catches you in an eerie downpour. yelling Sanskrit curses at a toenail. He backs out slowly, returns with an umbrella, and a goat. Why the goat? Sacrifice? You ask. He shrugs. Distraction? You take the goat, tie it to the workbench. If you bleat, I shall name my next sandal after you, I whisper. He stares, unimpressed, probably unionized. The nail finally gives, cracks free with a sound like thunder wrapped in silk. The indoor rain stops instantly. The shadow with the clipboard vanishes. The torches brighten. Devdutta sighs in her sleep, rolls over, almost crushes the goat. You yank it free. It sneezes on your tunic. Fair trade. You hold the freed nail aloft. Thick, curved. With little light from the torch, I might be mistaken. Either way, it feels heavy, not in weight. In consequence, you've broken a cosmic lease agreement. The rain demons are evicted for now. You bag the nail. Just label that thing, evidence of atmospheric hostility. Do not open in monsoon time. Wax seal. Mark it with your symbol. A chisel intersected with a lightning bolt. Put it in the things that shouldn't exist but do. See also finance minister's dignity. File. Later, you hear whispers. According to the high priest, the sudden dry spell resulting from last night's celestial disturbance was a miracle. You know better. It was a pedicure, performed under duress, with spiritual side effects, and possibly goat-based collateral. Apprentice number 6 asks if you believe in the legend. You hand him the bagged nail. He holds it for a moment. His fingers go numb. He drops it. You catch it. Smile. Believe now? He nods. Frantically, you appointed him as Junior Demon Liaison. The first task assigned to him was to find out how to bribe clouds with jaggery cubes. We have 3 barley coins and 1 used sandal. You trudge back to your cot. Exhausted, damp, victorious. The moon peeks through the stable roof. Smiling? Mocking? Hard to tell. You mutter, next time send a memo. Or a less moist demon. Sleep finds you fast. My dreams are floating toenails signing treaties with thunder gods. As you wake the first time, you rattle off a litany of swears, swearing that you hear rain. But it's only Devdutta drooling on her foot again. Close enough. Demons avoided. Toenail conquered. Goat traumatized. Just another Tuesday in the divine dirt. Retirement? Oh, that's not a plan. The stable workers at the local betting house are gambling on how you are going to go. Mid-filing, mid-sneeze, or mid-yelling at the apprentice who tried to disrupt the business by bringing honeybees on board for natural exfoliation. The apprentice's beekeeping project went awry, and the consequences were dire for everyone involved. There is no pension, no golden watch. You can't sit in a beach villa with a tall coconut drink, reminiscing about the good old days of fungal overgrowth and near-death buffing. According to the official Gupta court policy, Clause 7, subsection C, footnote dagger, the royal pedicurist will be in service until they become incapacitated, which means death, dismemberment, or voluntarily saying the toenails have won. It's a vulture that follows you to work. Literally, perches on the stable roof. Watches, waits. He drops feathers at your workstation like a passive-aggressive performance review. Workers in the Gupta period were hardly retired. Most of them worked as long as they were able to do so. As workers, they usually faded from society because of the charity of their families or temples. Quirk? There is one surviving payroll roll that reads under the name Vrishaba, former keeper of Sacred Stride, deceased mid-filing. See incident report number 38, Elephant. Mildly apologetic. Final disbursement. 1 sack barley, 1 ceremonial toe scraper, and 3 blessings. Non-transferable. Historians disagree whether the blessings were spiritual in nature, or whether the court scribe meant we're out of barley. You're pretty sure it's both. Also, you've memorized Vrishabha's incident report. Please read it before bed like a lullaby, or a threat. Your back is creaking more than Devdutta's knees after monsoon season, but you're just 42. Your hands? This is permanently stained with hoof polish and angst. Your fingernails? You stopped looking years ago. They say they now grow in the shape of little chisels. You haven't confirmed. Too scared. Also too busy. Last week, as a peacock feather was stuck in the king's crown, you asked him in a casual manner that maybe, possibly, hypothetically, there can be, a transition plan. He blinked. Slowly, like a sloth calculating taxes. Then he patted your shoulder. Said, "Ah, my steadfast soul shepherd, we will make a statue when you depart from this earth. Bronze. Life-sized. Holding a chisel. In the garden." You smiled. Nodded. Waited till he left. Then I checked the garden blueprints. The statue's placement? Directly under Devdutta's favorite napping tree. Strategic or sacrificial? You bring an umbrella to planning meetings now. Apprentice number 1, now 19 and oddly capable, asks whether he can start shadowing the end-of-career protocols. You chuckle, then cry, give him a rusty rasp and say, "Your first solo client, Indravahana's right hind. He hasn't been trimmed since the FM last let us down. Good luck. Write a will first." He survives. Barely. Comes back covered in mud, snot, and what you hope is mud. You name him acting pedicurist during master's naps. Unpaid, high risk. He bows. You see the fear in his eyes. Also the ambition. Cute. He doesn't realize the job doesn't let go. It absorbs you, like quicksand. With better benefits, if you count free fungus samples. You try to imagine life after keratin. Open a spa? Pamper your pachyderm. Nope. Elephants remember. And hold grudges, especially about missed appointments. Write a memoir? The priests would burn it. Toe by toe. My life in the gutter, literally. The merchants would sell bootleg copies. The king would tax it, hard pass. Move to the mountains? Become a yak pedicurist? Tempting. But yaks don't pay in barley. Or drama. And you've grown attached to the chaos. Like a barnacle to a vast, very stinky ship. Death looms. Not morbidly. Practically. Every session is Russian roulette with extra toenails. You wrote your own eulogy. He filed with courage. He smelled badly. He never blamed the goat once. You tuck it away in your sandal. For inspiration. Or blackmail. Haven't decided. The vulture lands closer today. Right beside your toolbox. Stares. You stare back. Offer it a sliver of jaggery. It accepts. You take that as a sign. Of what? Unclear. Maybe retirement isn't an escape. Maybe it's just reassignment. To a higher plane. Preferably one with foot baths. And no porcupine brushes. You sigh. Pick up your chisel. Devdutta's waiting. Her toenails already curling again like it knows. Like it's laughing. You mutter. Fine. One more. Then I'm out. She blinks. Slow. Smug. You know she heard. And you know she'll ensure one more becomes 10,000. Because in the Gupta Empire, you don't retire. You expire. Mid-stroke. Mid-sentence. Mid-sneezing glitter into a sacred fissure. And the court? They'll throw a festival. Name a nail after you. Carve your face onto a ceremonial buffer. You'll be too dead to care. But hey, at least you won't have to polish it. Future archaeologists will mislabel your scrapers as torture devices, leaving behind a confusing legacy. And honestly, let them. You're dead. Or at least, lying very flat in the royal hoof pit, chisel all still stuck in Devdutta's number 3 toenail, the way Excalibur is stuck in some rock, if Excalibur smelled like fermented lotus root and regret. One final file. One final sigh. Your sandal slips in some oil that is now on the ground, and you think, oh come on, as you slip down. Not with a scream, with a squelch. Poetic? No. Fitting? Absolutely. The elephant doesn't even flinch, just shifts her weight slightly, like she's tucking you in and or testing the structural integrity of your ribcage. Hard to tell. Either way, you're not getting up. And frankly, you're okay with that. Your back has been screaming for a break since the 1942 incident. Your knees gave up during festival polishing week. Your soul? Checked out after the porcupine brush incident. All that's left is muscle memory. And spite. Mostly spite. Many Gupta-era tools have been ritualized after death by being repurposed, enshrined, or even buried with their owners to serve a purpose through status or spirituality. Quirk? British archaeologists found a collection of iron rasps near Pataliputra in 1923. The rasps were labeled as instruments of sacred atonement. The archaeologists assumed that they were used for beating saints. Turns out, it was your great-great-great-grandmentor's pedicure kit. Historians still debate whether the atonement referred to his sins, or really just some nail jobs that caused diplomatic incidents. You would have a good laugh if your lungs weren't being gently crushed by 5 tons of divine elephant. They'll find you like this, fossilized in filth and glory, one hand holding a chisel, the other wrapped around a half-eaten ladoo you nabbed from the priest's offering plate, was going to give it back. Probably. Your epitaph? It has already been carved, not by apprentice mourners, but by the royal scribe who also performs stand-up at taverns. It reads, "He trimmed well. At times, screamed better." Below, someone, most likely apprentice number 6, had sketched a little crying elephant with a sign that says, "Tip jar still open." How classy, accurate. You'd approve. Future researchers will bend down next to your dead body with tweezers, looking at your things through a magnifying glass from other dimensions where people still believe that ergonomic is a cheese. One will adjust his pith helmet and say, "Clearly, this curved blade was used to extract confessions from political dissidents." And his friend will agree. The way this material shows wear is from repetitive scraping, perhaps used on unwilling souls, and you will scream internally, or externally, depending on how afterlife acoustics work. Unwilling souls. They were elephants, and they loved me. Okay, some of them tolerated me. That time Devdatta did not sit on me. That was love. Your chisels will be displayed in glass cases with maces and manacles. Tourists will take selfies. Kids will ask, "Did he hurt people?" The docents whisper, "Only their dignity." Close enough. Merchandise will follow. Shirts with "I love Gupta torture tech." Plush chisels. Toe-shaped stress balls that scream when squeezed. You'll haunt the gift shop. Rearrange the inventory. Make sure your face is on the most expensive item. This toenail-shaped USB drive comes loaded with your memoir, Soul Survivor, Confessions of a Keratin Cowboy, and has limited availability. Royalties? Non-existent. But the petty satisfaction? Priceless. The first apprentice, now known as Grand Master Pedicurist to the Crown, Slayer of Ingrowns, Denier of Rain Demons, will visit your grave once a year. Leave barley, jaggery, and a porcupine quill fresh. He'll sit cross-legged on the dirt and polish your tombstone with coconut oil. Still shinier than the finance minister's conscience, he'll mutter. You'll be watching from wherever dead pedicurists go. A heavenly cloud shaped like a foot, perhaps, floating over a spa where elephants get massaged by angels with steel wool. You'll smile, or grimace, hard to emote without corporeal form. The vulture retires too, gets a tiny bronze statue next to yours. Inscription: "He waited patiently." Also, he stole snacks. Fair. Centuries pass. Empires rise. Fall. TikTok historians do duets with your ghost. POV, your job was a horror movie. AI-generated deepfakes of you berating interns go viral for 3 days before getting banned for excessive sass and biohazard content. And through it all, your tools endure. Misunderstood, misused, mythologized, but never forgotten. A civilization is thought to be absolutely ancient when it has a well-oiled bureaucracy yet cedes military mobility to some chap with a chisel who has blisters and fungus on his hands. So rest now, O keeper of the sacred stride. Your lint lives on. Your legend, even lintier. As you fall asleep, in this realm of barely any rations and mandatory toe inspections, remember, at least no one asked you to bless a goat today. Probably. The dust settles. The chisels rust. The elephants, they remember. Your name will get right to it. The court record spelt it 3 different times, and once, toe goblin, the vibe. A top-notch or deeply traumatized pedicurist can give you this strange